This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com. Thanks for downloading Grilled. I'm Cara, editor of the Staff Canteen, and in this episode our deputy editor Tanny catches up with Sam Carter, chef owner of Restaurant 22 in Cambridge. Sam and his partner Alex opened the doors to their solo venture 2 years ago. Sam had previously worked at Hambleton Hall and Maze by Gordon Ramsay, and he talks to Tanny about owning a restaurant, TripAdvisor, his thoughts on catering for dietaries, and why chefs are lying if they say they haven't thought about accolades.
Hi everyone! Today we are here in Cambridge at Restaurant 22 with Chef Sam Carter. Hi Sam, how are you?
Hi, very well thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So it's just coming up to 2 years after you founded this restaurant. How are things going for you here?
It's going really well. We're enjoying ourselves. It's hard work, but it's rewarding and it's going well. Very happy with it.
So has there come a point, like when you found a restaurant, there's probably at least 6 months at the very beginning where everything is up in the air and it's chaos and you don't really know what you're doing and you don't really have your marks on the place. Has that turning point come? Do you feel like you're settled in here?
Yeah, we feel like we've settled. We started and it was a real budget opening sort of thing. We did all the renovation ourselves. I had about 2 days to write a menu before we opened, before we finished painting, and it was chaotic to say the least. But now we're starting to like really find our groove, and I think it's starting to show, hopefully. So yeah, it's we've got a really good team. We're really lucky to have kept hold of them from the start, and we're growing slowly, and it's going well. Yeah.
So we were just talking about it before. You started off with a skeleton team, and now you've worked your way up. You've got about 11 people working here. Has that been like a progressive thing? How did you manage to sort of bolster out that team?
So we started off, and there was literally 4 of us. I think that was probably quite unrealistic because we thought, well, we'll start off and we'll have like 6 booked for lunch, 5 booked for dinner, and it was busy from the start. And I had a pastry chef, and I said to him, right, we'll pay you by the hour to start with. And the first week he did 65 hours, so we were like, okay, you're on salary. let's get this guy on full time. And he's been here. Everyone's been here from the start, and it's grown slowly. After the first 4 months, we got a commis chef. There's 4 of us in the kitchen. And we've just taken on another chef now, so we're at 5. And we're starting to be able to spend a bit more time on development and making sure the menu is where it needs to be. So,
brilliant. And so you, as a chef, you sort of come from quite a different background. Amongst other places, you worked in Maze in London. So why did you choose to go in the direction of having a small restaurant at this scale rather than continue working in the sort of big London churning restaurants, hotels, etc.?
I've got a real mixed background in terms of cooking. I started off in pubs, and I've always been a fan of pubs. And to be honest, I never really wanted a restaurant. I always wanted my own pub. But finding somewhere in Cambridge is really difficult. Prices and availability and stuff like that, it's difficult. So I think this restaurant here is sort of formed itself, if that makes sense. We're creating something that was available to us, but we're really happy with what we've got now. It's small, it's intimate. Yeah, that's sort of where we're at. Like, Maze was massive. It was we were doing 150 for lunch, 200 for dinner sometimes, and it was a great learning curve, but it was never what I wanted to do eventually.
Is there something about having more? It's more your own to sort of run, and everything is under sort of exactly how you want it to be. It's not so much that it's not so much a top-down situation as you're leading the kitchen, you're leading the restaurant. How important to you was it that this was sort of to your own image rather than something for someone else?
Yeah, it's it's very different to anything I've done before, because like, obviously taking your own business on and being the head chef, it's a different thing altogether. You see so many things that you've never seen before. You worry about things that you don't worry about normally. A plate gets broken, you think, oh my God, you just see pound coins in your eyes. Like, it's not the normal sort of let's clean it up and let's move on. It's difficult. But yeah, the restaurant is a reflection of myself and my team, and we sort of just created it because we saw a gap in the market in Cambridge, and I think it's reflecting us as all as a team now.
Yeah.
So it's quite good like that.
And how would you describe your food here?
So it's really hard. It's the hardest question ever.
It is. You don't have to put a label on it,
Yeah.
even if it's, you know.
That is such a hard question, and I'd say it's completely. It's a lot like a lot of chefs. It's ingredient led.
Yeah.
We work very closely with suppliers. We've got some amazing suppliers here, and I speak to them on the phone constantly. For example, we've got a guy called Jake at Seed to Feed. He's a really good friend and one of the best suppliers you could wish for. He sort of grows stuff bespokely for us. He gives me his catalogues. He tells me what sort of micro herbs, micro vegetables. I choose what we want. He plants them. I go and visit them as they're growing. He picks them for us and he brings them to us the day he's picked them.
That's amazing.
And it is like unbelievable. It's so good. So it's ingredient led. We're not doing anything groundbreaking. We haven't got the space. We haven't got the equipment. But we're just doing really good food, and we're trying to make it flavoursome.
Yeah.
Every mouthful, we want it to taste of something, and like really try and connect with the guests, and make it special, and make the whole evening special.
And you champion something that's increasingly popular, which is not just seasonality, but sort of hyper seasonality. You're very good on changing your menus really often. What motivated that decision?
I'm a big believer of like something tastes good when it's in season.
Yeah.
There's no point putting strawberries on in January. Like everyone knows that. And we basically we don't try and predict the seasons. We just wait until what's available, and then we come up with a dish based on the ingredient rather than trying to come up with something for the sake of it. We wait and we'll put fish on because the guy who sells me the fish, he's rang me and he said this is good. And that's just the way we work. That was never really the plan, to be honest. It was just it's just the way it happened, and like forming the relationship with suppliers is the most important thing for me. It's trusting the suppliers and speaking to them on a regular basis and making it happen that way.
And in the kitchen, surely that brings some challenges as compared to like if you were to keep like a game pie on all winter. You know, there's some comfort in that. Having to change it as often must come with some challenges. Is that something that you champion consciously? Is that something that you enjoy?
I love a challenge. I love the basically guessing what's going to be coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I love consistency. It's all about consistency, and we never accept anything that's not good. And we when we've got a dish that we're happy with and it's in season for a certain amount of time, we'll keep it. And we're constantly developing behind the scenes and making sure that the next menu change is ready. So it's a challenge, but it's manageable.
Yeah. And as you were saying before, you've now come to a point where there's more scope for development, so you get to have a little bit more fun with that.
Yeah. So before, like, there was my sous chef on the sauce, I was doing the pas and the larder, and we had a pastry chef. We've now got 5 of us, so we've got one not on a section and one floating. So we have got time to like work on bread recipes. We've got time to work on our snacks and see what we're going to do next, rather than changing the menu and hoping for the best. It's planned and it's developed and it's good.
Yeah, great. And so, this building, you and your partner own it?
Yeah. So we begged, we borrowed, we stealed, we did everything we could to make it happen. So we've got. Yeah, we got the place January 2018. We did a 3-month refurb, and then we opened in early April, end of March, early April. So yeah.
And what is it like working with your partner?
She's brilliant. I can't thank her enough, because I think she wanted to do this, but I'm not 100% sure that she was into it to start with. But she's done it, and she does an amazing job. She doesn't know how good she is at it, and we work really well together because I'm probably she's a realist, and I'm probably a bit unrealistic. She like reins me in when I need to be reined in, and she keeps an eye on the finance things, which I don't think about some of the time, and she does a really good job.
Is it tough sometimes trying to navigate a personal relationship and drawing that line between, you go home and you don't talk about work, especially given that home is upstairs?
I think, yeah, it's tough. I'm not going to lie, it's tough. But for us, like, the last 2 years has been about the restaurant, and we put everything else on hold. We got engaged before we bought the restaurant, and that's still on the back burner. I don't know if she still wants to marry me. I hope she does. But yeah, it's all everything's been about the restaurant for now, and then it's tough. I'm not going to lie.
It's a good test of a relationship if you've
absolutely.
Done this far.
If we can get through this, we can get through most things. So yeah, it's good.
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. Just to let you know about the very exciting things coming up at the Staff Canteen. From the 3rd to the 5th of March, we're taking the Staff Canteen live to the hotel, restaurant and catering show at XL in London, with an amazing lineup of chefs including Simon Holston, Angela Hartnett, Jason Atherton, Michelle Rue Jr., Tom Kera, Jan Moore, taking to the stage to give live cooking demonstrations. To register for a free ticket, check out the link in the description.
So going back to your use of ingredients and the focus on seasonality here, I guess my question is really, if you're comparing restaurants at a high level to other restaurants where they don't necessarily turn towards using seasonal produce, they don't have to put very much thought into how they prepare things, they don't have to put very much thought into how things pair with other ingredients. All of these things are things that become bigger considerations when you're changing the ingredients on your menus a lot of the time. Would you agree with that?
I would say that because we are changing it frequently, we're changing the menu. It can be daily, it can be monthly, but I'd say what it goes down to is the experience and the depth of knowledge you've got of ingredients. We're not getting in new ingredients as in I've never seen them before. I just relate back to places I've worked in the past, recipes I've done before. My team as well, like they've all worked in different restaurants. We've all come from different backgrounds where we've got experience with certain ingredients.
Yeah.
And the recipes are literally split between the 5 of us. It's not me. I hate restaurants where they're like, there's one guy and he takes all the credit for everything. It's like, it's such a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has an input on the menu. Whether it's, I used to do this at this place, or I used to do this here. And then we use all of that information combined, and we come up with a dish based on everything, and we don't put it on the menu until it's ready. So we might get ingredients in that are in season on the day, but then we've got 4 or 5 days to play with them and come up with the best possible way of using it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way.
Can you give me an example of something that's on the menu at the moment?
I'll give you an example of a Korean sort of barbecue marinade that we're working on at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on a new pork belly snack.
Yeah.
So my sous chef Andy, he's got an amazing CV. He's worked everywhere, and he's gone back through his old recipe book, like a really old recipe book, and he's got this Korean barbecue sauce recipe, and we're braising pork belly with that at the minute. And to be honest, I haven't got a clue about Korean food at all, but I tried it and it was delicious, so it's going on the menu.
Brilliant. And what goes into that? What's the
idea behind it?
Yeah.
So the idea behind it, we've got sort of a barbecue marinade with like spices, and then we've got burnt apple going on there as well. But we're not 100% happy with it. We're playing with like different things, and it won't go on the menu for another 2 weeks because we're still not happy with it. But it's just that collaboration of ideas that gives you. It's not me coming up with everything. It's everyone putting an input in and using their own experience to come up with something good.
Yeah. And I mean, you do a la carte and you do a tasting menu. When you're coming up with new dishes, do you think about them in context of, okay, if that goes on the tasting menu, then it needs to be coherent with everything else that's going on there? Or if you're adding a new dish, would you just say, okay, that'll go on the a la carte so that it doesn't mess with the sort of equilibrium that we've got on the tasting menu?
So the way that we design the menu format is completely down to the space that we have.
Yeah.
We are very limited, and the a la carte menu is made up of the tasting menu. The idea was to give everyone a really good offer.
Yeah.
So if you only want to come for 3 courses or 2 courses or 1 course, you're able to do that. And then a version of that dish will be on the menu. It's the only way that we could do it without becoming like a sort of a tasting menu restaurant.
Yeah.
And we didn't really want to do that. We wanted to be like a neighbourhood restaurant that people can come to every week or every other week. And we've got an amazing following. We've got people that book in sort of once a month for the year. We've got 12 bookings in the calendar for this year from the same couple.
It's amazing.
Which is great because they know the menu changes frequently. They know it's going to be different every time, and they can choose what they want to go from, whether it's 5-course tasting, 7-course, or the a la carte. So that was the idea behind it, and it was based on the size of the kitchen that we have, and you've got to sort of work with what you've got.
Yeah. I mean, I've been down to the kitchen. It's certainly not a huge kitchen in any respect, but so you've got 6 people working down there at the moment. How do you navigate working in a small kitchen?
It's it's interesting. Saturday nights it can be tough. Everyone's got their own section, and everyone works incredibly cleanly and tidily, and it's I like to think it's organised, and it has to be. To be honest, it's such a small space, and the thing for me is like the space, fridge space that we've got. It leads to what we do here. Like nothing is in the fridge for more than 2 days. It can't be. There's no space for it. So we make it, we chill it, and we serve it, or like we make it and we serve it fresh, and that is really leading what we do here. There's it's fresh. Everything is really fresh because it has to be, and that's really good. And it works with the way that we design the menus in it.
Yeah. Can you talk me through another dish that you've got on that sort of illustrates that point of something that you prepare, serve on the day and would make fresh every day?
Yeah, so we use Flying Fish. Sam, our guy at Flying Fish, he rings me up every morning, first thing, and he says what's in season, and we get a fish delivery every day that we're open.
Wow.
So we order. We've got haddock on at the minute, smoked haddock. So we get the haddock in. It's prepped fresh every single day. We order just enough for the day because we know exactly how many covers we're going to be doing, and it gets prepped and served on that day, and we'll order fresh the next morning, and there might be a slight overlay, but it'll be gone the next day. It's not fresh every day. Everyone knows that's not always possible, and nothing goes in the bin. I mean, nothing's wasted as well. But yeah, that's a prime example. Like using the supply, so it comes in, gets prepped, goes in the fridge, and it gets served that day, and that really affects the quality of the fish. So you end up with a much better product at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be going pretty well for you. I was doing a little bit of research on my way in, and since we first got in touch, you are and have remained the #1 restaurant in Cambridge on TripAdvisor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a little bit of a contentious platform, I think, among chefs, and for a lot of the time obvious and justified reasons. Chefs kind of steer away from TripAdvisor and have some bad things to say about it, but surely being at the top of that list must be good for business in some respects.
I think Cambridge has got a massive sort of tourism scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think people get off a train and they look at TripAdvisor, and that's the first thing they do. So to be the top of it, I think it really helps us. And I'd like to say I don't care about it, and I'd like to say I don't check it, but I do.
Mm-mm.
I check it regularly because, I don't know, it's like a habit. It's like an addiction sort of thing. I check it every day, definitely. And I don't, sometimes you think, you definitely have to take notice to what people are saying, because if they've written a TripAdvisor, I think there's some truth behind it. If they're unhappy with whatever they've experienced, then they're going to write it down. But But I think you have to take it with a pinch of salt. If the same thing comes up 3 times, then I think you have to do something about it. I think you can't please everyone. You definitely can't please everyone. With decor and food and seasoning, and there's so many things that is preference. But it's great to be at the top of that list, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get really random comments. People say they don't like the decoration and they'll give you a star for that. In your case, I think you've got something like 200 good reviews and 2 bad reviews, which is pretty much unheard of, so well done for that. And that one of the 1-star reviews that I saw actually leads on to a next subject. Don't worry, I'm about to put you on the spot. It was someone that was talking about coming in and having warned you in advance that they wanted a vegan tasting menu, which I then saw your reply explaining that they'd never requested that for one, and that you are open to doing that. And I know also for a fact that you have a vegetarian tasting menu on alongside your regular menu. So can you tell me a little bit about that incident, and then we can move on and talk about the sort of...
So I've got to say that reply wasn't me. I can't write very well. That was definitely Alex, my better half. I think if people give you notice, and they actually give you notice, you can prepare anything. And we're not one of those kitchens that we don't believe in gluten-free. We're open-minded. We can cater for everyone with required... with sufficient notice is the word I'm looking for, and that's absolutely fine for us. But when someone turns up on the day and we're doing a 7-course tasting menu, and each dish has got 7 or 8 elements on it, you can't just pull things out of thin air, because you put yourself at risk. Because if there's no thought gone into it and you're just coming up with something on the day, then you're not serving what we should be serving. Yeah.
Oh, especially,
it's a bit of a grey area, isn't it? But
especially when you're dealing with, because it can be dietaries and it can be allergies.
Yeah.
If you don't get that advance warning, then you're then running a risk on your business and on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because there's so many things, aren't there? Like there's dietaries, and I'm allergic to shellfish. I keep eating it, but I'm definitely allergic to shellfish.
Okay, can you still work with it?
Yeah, I can still work with it, and I still eat it. And I feel sick, and I get dizzy and stuff.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I love scallop, but there's so many preferences as well. So if you ask someone if they've got any dietary requirements, and they go, prime example, last night, I don't like soup. Like, how are you supposed to work with that? We haven't got a soup on the menu, but we've got a broth.
Right.
And then do you pester them? Do you ask them? And then we do 240 covers a week. Like, can you get in touch with every single person? And we sort of just do the best we can with dietaries. It's a very grey area.
It is, and I think a lot of the time, at least in the last example that you gave me, you're falling into the realms of what these people are expecting is no longer really what a restaurant offers. It's kind of like they're being so specific that they might as well not eat out. They might as well cook for themselves if that's what they want, and they want something so particular.
Yeah.
Why are they going out to have a chef cook for them?
It's so tricky, because you go, right, I need to make this dish. I want to put butter in it. Do you keep it dairy free for the ease of it? Because we might have like 6 people, might have 10 people, might have 12 people a week that are dairy free. So what do? Do you make a really nice cauliflower puree with butter in it, or do you keep it dairy free? Like I've said to all the guys we're working with, like, we'll make something specifically for the dietaries. So that's where the sufficient notice comes in. If you've got that notice and you know it's happening, you can make something for it, rather than leaving the butter out of it, making a puree that's not quite as nice as it would have been before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about notice and being organised, and we would do absolutely everything we can, because at the end of the day, you need to get customers through the door. So if you can accommodate customers by taking care of dietaries, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And in your decision to have a vegetarian tasting menu, is that something that you did for that reason, or did you specifically want to make one because that's something that you like to cook?
It's not. I wouldn't say it's our forte. We can definitely. We've had vegetarians, we've had vegans that have come and they've loved it. They've loved everything that we've done for them. But I wouldn't say it's our specialist. I'd say 70% of the menu is meat or fish.
Yeah.
But we can cook some nice dishes with vegetables. The reason why we put it on was to accommodate people, and we didn't want anyone to sort of miss out, really.
Yeah. And would you ever consider doing that, having like a permanent vegan menu on, or is that just something that you wouldn't feel?
It is it's permanently on. If somebody books and they say, "Oh, I'm vegan," we will definitely come up with a version of our tasting menu, and there is always options on the a la carte menu as well. But yeah, it's definitely something that we're working on, and we develop the vegan dishes, the vegetarian dishes, and we've got options, and it's probably the best way to be, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it's something of a specialist skill though?
Yeah, I think it's tough. Like, I really struggle to come up with vegetarian options. I've got friends that are vegetarian. I'm always like messaging them saying, "What do you think of this?" And because I think you get a lot of chefs that just add things as a replacement for meat.
Yeah.
So cheese probably features very heavily on a lot of vegetarian menus, whereas a vegan option, you can't use that. So you need to think on your feet. You need to find something that replaces it, and you've got a really substantial but interesting plate of food that doesn't use meat. So it's definitely tough, but I think we do okay here. I think we're all right, yeah.
I think you have to an extent, you might have to go from the ingredient up, and a lot of places now that you're seeing are going from vegetable up rather than, protein of some form, may that be plant-based or not, really going from an onion or an asparagus and taking it from there, which I think is quite an interesting development in the industry.
Yeah, I think we definitely we put dishes on that are vegetarian, and going back to our suppliers, we've got Sea to Feed, we've got Flourish Produce, which is like 11 miles from here, and they specialise in vegetables, and we will often like create a dish around that, and work out what will go with that rather than doing it the opposite way.
Yeah. And is that something that you've seen change in your time in kitchens? Because
I think so. I've been cooking now I started when I was 16, so it's like coming up to 15 years. So I've seen like quite a big change, and vegetarians and stuff like that. I can't even remember that being a thing. Maybe it's just me. I can't even remember I can't remember vegans when I first started cooking. I don't know whether that's just me not remembering it or not, but there's definitely a change, and there's definitely a demand for it, especially here in Cambridge. People want healthy food, they want vegetarian food, vegan food, and we just do the best that we can to please everyone.
Yeah. And dialing back to your own style and your own, like in an ideal world, if you were cooking everything for your own palate and that you enjoy to cook, what would that be?
In terms of ingredients, or
everything, ingredients, dishes, your fundamentally the things that bring you the most joy to prepare and cook.
I love the sort of luxurious ingredients. I love like the prime meat, the prime fish, like beef fillet, scallops, caviar. We've got amazing Exmoor caviar on the menu at the minute, which we've only had on since December. I sort of wanted to have it on for ages, and then it's like balancing the books so you can afford to get it on, and but it's such lovely caviar. I really like that style of dining, like sort of the palace style, like luxurious ingredients. And a whole scallop from Celtic Seafair, like when it's massive and you're prepping it fresh and it's still moving in your hand, you can't beat that. But that's the sort of style that I really like. But it's just, our tasting menu is £60 for 7 courses, so you can't always do that.
Yeah.
But we work with what we've got and what we're doing. So
I suppose that's going back to like a old school tradition of when people ate out. It was really to treat themselves. It might be an exceptional thing, but you'd go out and you'd have the best of something. You'd have the best oysters, and you'd have foie gras, and you'd have all of these things. And it's quite a traditional approach to.
Yeah, I think the idea is that you do go out, you want to treat, and some of our food is rich. Like we use a lot of butter, and we use a lot of salt, and everything is rich, and it's something. I think you want to go out, you want to feel full, you don't want to leave a restaurant like, oh, I'm just the right level. I want to feel full. I want to feel a bit drunk. I want to feel a bit full.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I've been out for a nice meal, rather than just go home and. I like that sort of dining, and I think that's what we do here.
Yeah.
I like to think that's what we do.
I suppose it's a little bit sad to think that a lot of people now, even when they want to go and eat out, they want it to be healthy, they want it to be balanced, they want it to be within the constraints of their particular diet, and it's less of an extravagant sort of go out and please yourself experience as a rigid sort of, I need to be sticking to my keto diet.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I mean, it's just really tough because that's not really what I've been. None of the restaurants I've worked in have really done that sort of thing. I think it's a good thing to do for certain places, and that's why diversity, like in Cambridge, you can find that somewhere. I mean, there's places popping up all the time, like Vanderlyle on Mill Road. They do a juice, they do a non-alcoholic pairing. They're completely plant-based. There's no meat or fish on the menu, and we went to their opening night, and Alex is doing an incredible job over there. And if that's the sort of thing I think customers just need to sort of do some research on the restaurant.
Yeah.
They need to look at the menu, look at the offer, look at the decor, because it's all on the website. It's everywhere. You need to you see it all, and then that's it. So I think you just need to do some research and see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to know that there's something out there for everyone.
Yeah.
What kind of direction are you hoping to take the restaurant in? Well, how do you see the restaurant's future? Are you happy with the art at the moment? And like, what do you see as the next 5 years for you guys here?
It's a really good question. So we're really happy with the fact that we've managed to get here, and we've managed to keep it open for nearly 2 years, because it's tough.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be working against you a lot of the time, and to get as far as we've got, and like, we're really happy with that. And then the idea is to keep striving to get it into a better place. Like we're really working on getting down to a 4-day week.
Mm-hmm.
Basically for our own work-life balance, and for the staff, the guys that work with us. It's really important to maintain the guys that work with you. I think that's the biggest thing for us, sort of keeping the staff and making sure they're happy. We want people to come into work and enjoy themselves. We don't want it to be like, oh God, I've got to go to work again. And that's really what we're working on at the minute. We're obviously working on the food, taking it to another level. We've got an extra chef, like I said before. We want to keep pushing in the right direction and making sure that we're serving the best that we can produce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you were saying about ensuring like that your staff are happy and that they feel comfortable here. You were also saying, like before we started recording, that your team has only grown here, and you've kept your staff here since you opened, which I think is pretty unheard of in the industry. I mean, firstly, well done, and secondly, what do you think has made that? How have you nurtured that?
I think people want to feel part of something. We really make people feel. We really try our hardest to make people feel included in every decision we make, whether it's the new chairs, new tables, like new dishes, and everyone wants to feel part of something, and everyone wants to feel like they're working together moving together in the right direction. And we are literally like, there's 10 of us, 11 of us, and we're all like friends. We all talk about food or drink, or like we're all going wine tasting on Tuesday, going down to like the Liberty Flint portfolio tasting, and that's the sort of thing that we do because we're all thinking about the same thing. We've all got the same joint passions, and we're sort of all collaborating and coming up with Restaurant 22, which is amazing. I think it's really good.
And it's like there's almost like a blurred line between your personal life and your professional life, because you're doing what you're passionate about, so you can be friends and you can exist as a unit. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's a really productive way of working, I think. There's obviously professionalism and everyone's very professional, but at the same time we're all doing something that we enjoy doing, and we're working towards the same cause, so it's good.
And then in terms of where you want to take the food offering and strive to improve, how, like, of course you do. Like, how do you go about that? What goes into improving the dishes on a menu? What goes into making, your food better than somewhere else?
I think we're just going to carry on doing what we're doing. We've got an extra chef now, which we are managing more development. We're managing more. Going down to 4-day weeks goes with it. So that extra day will be spent like researching, coming up with ideas, and actually having time to jot ideas down and come up with dishes and try them, and actually make rather than chasing your tail, actually planning more.
Yeah.
Being more organised and actually putting better food onto a plate and having more time to do that.
Yeah. Sounds like my New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, it's true.
And beyond the accolade of being the #1 restaurant on TripAdvisor, is there anything that you look towards, like any of the lists and any of the guides that you look towards and think, I fancy myself a little spot? Or is that not something that you focus on too much?
I think any chef that says they're not interested, they're lying, aren't they, really? We got 2 rosettes last autumn, I think it was. And we, to be honest, we were a bit disappointed, but like, not disappointed. We were aiming higher.
Yeah.
We're definitely aiming higher. The Good Food Guide, Harden's, the Michelin Guide. Yeah, obviously we'd love to be in all of that. We'd love to be as high as we can in that. But it's not. I'd say it's not a main focus, but I think it falls into place. I think we're not looking at all those guys going, yeah, we're going to get in that. We're sort of just. We're trying to let customers leave here as happy as they possibly can be, and hopefully all of that other stuff will follow.
Yeah, I think it can be a bit disheartening to be pushing on for something and not getting it, whereas actually if you keep your head down, focusing on what you're already doing and doing it the best way you can, there's nothing much more than you can do.
Yeah, I think it's tough enough, like, remaining open and like all the bills are getting paid and all the staff are getting paid without stressing about all that sort of stuff. So I think we just sort of want every customer to come in here and want to rebook. So the best thing for us is, like, when someone comes in, they've had an amazing meal, and before they've left, they book a table for like 3 months' time, and that's like our focus. That's what we're really happy with, whether they leave a TripAdvisor or not. Like, they've rebooked, which means they're coming back and they enjoyed it the first time, which is amazing.
And you can almost guarantee that if that's happened, then there might not be some internet trace of it, but there'll be some word of mouth. They'll be telling their relatives, they'll be telling their friends about it.
Exactly, and the fact that we're fully booked, like, pretty much all the time. We haven't had a service recently that we've not been fully booked, which is amazing. We're only small, so it's not hard to fill, but that's hopefully the way it's going to continue.
Yeah. And you and your partner Alex have been engaged since before you founded the restaurant, and you're living upstairs at the moment, but you're perhaps looking at moving out and renovating the upstairs. Is that something that you want to?
We're trying to find a place in Cambridge, which is impossible.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. But yeah, we're just going to keep looking, and we will one day hopefully get married as well.
Time allowing.
Yeah, time allowing. No, we're definitely going to do it soon. It's just the restaurant's been the main focus for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and if you guys were to move out, what would the plan be for the upstairs?
So yeah, we have there's on the very top floor there's like a little balcony as well. So we're thinking of possibly making that into a private dining room, but time will tell. Yeah,
and kitchen output will tell as well.
Yeah, very small kitchen, so we'll see if that can cope.
Great. Well, we're very much looking forward to seeing how things develop. So far, so good. And also very much looking forward to checking out the videos of you preparing the dishes on the menu here, and looking forward to eating here as well someday. Thanks a lot for taking the time.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
We hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you have any comments, feel free to tweet us or comment on the post. We're making all of our interviews available to download. And finally, if you like what we do, whether it's our podcast or our videos or even our features, please head over to our Patreon page and support us there. This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.